Hey, what's going on, guys? It's time for another sound design session. This time we're gonna be using Ableton's Wavetable, a really intuitive and great sounding synth. I'm gonna be showing you how to make a deep and lush pad sound. And as a bonus, I'm gonna give you some tips on how to save CPU usage with this synth, because it's a bit on the heavy side. So please subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram at lowheatbeats. And let's get started. So it would be a good idea to press the arrow next to the title of the synth to open the big interface, which takes up the whole screen, and you can see all the parameters available to you without going through menus and flicking through tabs. So we're gonna start with oscillator 1 now. It's set to a sine wave. I'm gonna go to the retro section and let's try this echoes wavetable. So we need to activate a modulation for the wavetable position parameter. We do it on the mode matrix. So the last parameter we've touched with the mouse is available on the last row of the modulation matrix. And in order to activate LFO1's modulation to oscillator 1 position, we need to increase this value. I'm gonna go to LFO1, turn off the retrigger option so that the LFO doesn't restart on every note that I play. And I'm gonna lower the rate, make it slower. Maybe decrease the modulation amount a bit. So let's go to oscillator 2, turn the oscillator 2 on, go to the retro section again and maybe choose another wavetable. Let's modulate it with LFO1 as well, but let's make the modulation negative. So of course, if we're going to be making a pad sound, we need to go to our amp envelope and have a slower attack. The release is already set to a relatively high value, so I'll leave it as it is. But I'm gonna turn the sustain to the maximum value, so we don't get this dip in volume after the initial attack and decay phase. So it already sounds like a pad. Let's turn down the volume a bit, because as we added oscillator 2, there's not enough headroom. And we may get into clipping. I'm gonna choose the OSR filter, which I really like. It's those analog modeled filters in Ableton Live that sound really good. We're going to use LFO2 to modulate the filter cutoff frequency. Maybe a bit slower value as well. Why not try a notch filter? It's set to a low pass by default. Turn it into a notch filter. And maybe have filter 2 as a low pass. Use the OSR filter again. Add a bit of modulation to it as well. So let's turn on the unison, which makes the sound really thick, really big. So as you hear, it sounds pretty convincing already without even applying any effects. So how about add some arpeggiated section to the pad, like make it more sparkly, add a bit more movement. So what I'm gonna do is group the wavetable synth, pressing Command G, opening the chains, and I'm gonna duplicate the wavetable. So I'm gonna rename the two chains. This one is gonna be called pad, and this one is gonna be called arp. So on the arp one, we need to add the MIDI effect arpeggiator, but we'll need to make the attack a bit faster because we're gonna be playing shorter notes with this arpeggiator. Add more steps to the arpeggiator, making it go an octave higher. Maybe increase the rate even a bit. So let's hear how it sounds with a drum loop. So as you can see, it's really quick and easy to make a pad sound with this synth. It really sounds gorgeous. But this really good sound comes at the price of a relatively high CPU usage. So let's explore some of the options in the synth that increase or decrease the CPU usage. Now first of all, let's have a look at our oscillators. Activating the second oscillator increases the CPU usage a lot. And also, if you're not gonna be modulating it and adding a lot of movement, you may also use the sub oscillator, which doesn't add too much to the CPU usage, instead of oscillator 2. Also, another thing that adds a lot of CPU is of course the polyphony. It's set to 8, which is the maximum, and depending on the chords or the notes that you're sending to the synth, the higher polyphony may cause CPU overload. The next thing is the unison. It sounds really great, makes everything sound really wide and fat, but it also increases CPU usage a lot because it generates double, triple, quadruple, or many times the voices that you're actually playing at the moment. What else? Oh yeah, so the filters. Those analog modeled filters, the OSR, the PR, the SMP, the MS2 filter, they are all more CPU intensive than the clean filter. Also the oscillator effects. So there you have the oscillator effects like FM, classic, modern, like the pulse width modulation, the sync. So these effects really add up to the CPU usage. Modulation as well. If a modulation is not needed, just turn it off, set it to 0, because it also taxes your CPU a lot more. Also the slope of the envelopes. It's really nice that you can set the slope, but if you set it to 0, it will actually tax the CPU a lot less. Yeah, so it turns out that pretty much all the options that make Wavetable sound as good as it sounds are really taxing on the CPU, but it is what it is, guys. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, drop me a comment down below, and follow me on Instagram at lowheatbeats. And see you in the next video, guys. Peace, y'all.